Welcome to the Whitwam Wealth Real Estate Podcast. Today our topic is No Money Down, Your Path to Real Estate Investing with No or Low Down Payment, Part 2.
Welcome to the Whitwam Wealth Real Estate Podcast with Scott Whitwam, your blueprint to financial abundance. Settle in as we explore the mindset and methods for wealth building through real estate.
Welcome back. I'm Scott Whitwam, and I'm glad you joined me today for No Money Down, Your Path to Real Estate Investing with No or Low Down Payment, Part 2. This week, I'm going to be discussing how-tos from my new book, No Money Down. This book was written to answer questions that I get asked often from real estate investors and listeners. Throughout today's podcast, if you've not already purchased a copy of my new book, No Money Down, I'll let you know how you can get a copy of the book for free. Thank you all who have purchased the book and ordered the book through and received this book through this special offer. I look forward to hearing from you on your investing road to success. If you would like to purchase my book and have a physical copy in your hand from Amazon, you can do so. No Money Down on Amazon for $20. Or for a limited time, you can get a copy absolutely free. Just need to use the QR code available if you're watching the video version of this podcast, or by going to www.nomoneydownoffer.com. That's www.nomoneydownoffer.com and get your free copy of this book. One thing I've learned over the years is that each real estate investor, that I meet, that I coach, is investing at a different level of expertise. People have different techniques, and everybody seems to be doing something, with a different skill set. For some of the secrets I share today, they'll be transformational to you. And for some, they may be interesting new ways of doing what you're already doing. I know our investing community is like a big family, and most of the investors I spend time around are very helpful coaches, trainers, and investors. They're interested in helping people. So today we'll talk about some of the specifics about how to be successful buying with no money down. It's my way of being helpful and trying to provide the information you need to be a real estate investing success. As a real estate coach, investor, and broker, I've learned how hard and discouraging it can be to try to find this trusted help and transformational information. So let me answer a couple of questions in the process here. Like, is it legal to purchase a property this way? Some people think that you have to, do things in a traditional manner because of the laws that the government has set up. But yes, this is legal. Only specific consumer loans and products require a person to bring in a down payment. The next question would be, how can you buy investment real estate with no money down? Well, that's a great question. And I go over this in the book, but here is what I would say. You have to be willing to look at every acquisition outside of traditional framework. Many people talk about doing things outside the box, but if we can look outside of this traditional framework, we can find opportunities that other people don't. So you'll need to develop a vision for finding the solutions to the puzzle. Anybody can build a puzzle when they have the box in front of them with the picture of the puzzle, but it gets much more difficult when there is no picture of a puzzle, and that's what this no money down framework is. Every transaction's a puzzle, and we just have to figure out how to put the puzzle together. The more you do this, the more you learn the principles, the better you will get at it. Yeah, you have to fully evaluate all of your opportunities in the light of your investing goals for no money down. Because not every property is a good no money down opportunity. And you'll have to either be willing to look for other acquisition options, or just pass on the opportunity. I know sometimes as investors, we just think we got to make every deal work, but sometimes it's better just to walk away if we can't find a good solution that meets the numbers. Question number 3 would be, how can you get started buying property with no money down? Well, that's another great question. The first thing is understanding that there is more than one method of purchasing homes with no money down. Particularly, I use 4 or 5 different methods depending on the property and the seller. What we're doing is creative financing. Creative financing is the art of structuring a transaction in such a way that it bypasses or no longer needs a traditional form of financing. The five main methods that I use are investor lease option, seller carry, wrap, condition credit, and then joint venture. In the book, No Money Down, I share 3 case studies, an investor lease option, a wrap, and a joint venture, and I discussed real no money down acquisitions with specific steps and negotiating techniques. That's why I encourage you and think this would be a good time for you to get your copy. Again, you can purchase the book on Amazon for $20, but for a limited time, you can get a copy absolutely free for being a podcast listener just by using this QR code available. If you're watching this as the video version of the podcast, you just use that QR code and it'll take you right to where you can get your book, or you can go to www.nomoneydowncoach.com. That is www.nomoneydowncoach.com. It's absolutely free. But here's an example of one of the case studies that'll help show you how you can actually do this. And the property I'd like to talk about today, it was an off-market property. It was 4 bedrooms, 2 baths. It was about 2,200 square feet. The property was introduced to my team about a year before we were able to actually acquire it. The owner was facing some financial difficulties, but after I discussed some of the options for helping them, they decided, just like some distressed sellers do, that they could get this thing corrected on their own. And so they rejected our cash offer to buy their home and help them with their financial situation. And this is one of the examples I'd like to share, especially with beginning real estate investors, about never giving up on an opportunity until you've exhausted all the options. And either the home sells to somebody else, or there's no other way that you can have an opportunity to buy the home. Just because you hear the word no from a seller, sometimes with distressed sellers, no really just means maybe. Nearly a year after our first contact with this owner, they finally requested our help to keep them from losing the house. At this point, they were just weeks away from a default and foreclosure action. So their situation had gone from bad to much worse. With the change in their circumstances, our offer looked much better this time around, and the owner was more flexible related to the price and the terms. What kind of terms? No money down. This is how I structured the deal to ensure our terms fit our needs and it secured our investment. It's one of the things you want to make sure is that you also have security in any of these investments that we're doing. So I contact my title company. I've developed relationships with a couple investor-friendly title companies, and my title officers have extensive experience as investor transaction closing agents. Now, it can take you a little bit of time and research for you to find one who will understand no money down and that you'll be able to work with. If you're just getting started, don't get frustrated. Just keep looking. Obviously, if you're a seasoned investor, you probably have title agents you've done business with for quite a while. I would go to them first because many times they'll go, "Oh yeah, I've done transactions like that before. Yeah, our company can do that." Sometimes I've even taken some of these deals to experienced title officers, and because of their security risk portfolio type management, they won't handle them. So you just got to shop until you find the title agents that you can work with and that will understand the process. So title had the owner sign a warranty deed that conveyed their interest in the property to us once we recorded. The seller signed our agreement and it wrapped the existing mortgage. There are 3 clear advantages of using this method of creative financing. First off, no money down or no down payment to the lender. So I'm not like I'm going into a bank and they're requiring 20% down, or, even in some situations you go to private money guys and they want 40% down. The reason is that our contract and its purchase terms in the contract, they actually wrap around and surround the existing lien, so there's no down payment required. Why? Because the current owner already made their down payment, and we're just leveraging what they've already done. But you got to be aware that very often, a seller may require some upfront payment to cover things like moving expenses, maybe their down payment on a new rental home, storage fees, sometimes some personal or family member loans that they've got to take care of before they can actually convey the house. All of this is negotiable. And the more motivated a seller is, the closer you get to a seller's need to move out. And when somebody's facing foreclosure, especially just a couple weeks out, they get very motivated. The second great advantage of doing this is there's no qualification for us to take advantage of existing loan terms. I don't have to go in and prove why I'm a good buyer. I don't have to provide financial statements and tax returns. It's just my contract wrapping the existing loan. The loan is based with the original mortgage holder on the current owner's profile and not mine. This generally means that we can acquire some lower interest rates, no loan costs, for me as an investor or for you as an investor. The third thing is a due in full date or a balloon date. This can be advantageous because you can move those out as far as you need. So maybe a seller is willing to let you wrap it for 3 years, 5 years, 7 years, 10 years, or maybe the full remaining term can be negotiated to give you the time to complete whatever it is you're going to do with the home. Maybe you're just going to remodel it and use it as a fix and flip. Maybe you want to establish a rental and you want to have time to get rental history before you have to refinance it. Or maybe you want to sell it to another investor or to a retail client under terms. And so it works really good for doing any of those type of disposition actions. The biggest risk that I find in a wrap is the potential for the underlying mortgage holder or bank to enforce what's called a due on sale clause. So when title transfers, it's going to go from the existing owner to us as an investor, and it's going to change the name on title. And if that happens and the bank or mortgage holder does an audit and finds out that the title is transferred, they may demand what they call their due on sale clause. I have never had this happen in all my years of investing, but it can happen. It's a risk that you can take. But generally, if the payments are being made on time and the bank or mortgage holder is getting the interest that the loan is supposed to produce, they are just happy making sure that the mortgage stays current. If it did happen, if for some reason they enforced a due on sales clause, you would just be forced to refinance the property. So you just then go to whoever your source is. You can go to your local credit union, your bank, and do a refinance on the property and utilize the equity now that you have in the property instead of a down payment in order to do it. And sometimes you can do a cash out. So maybe you pull cash out of this property that you put no money down on and use the cash out of this property to buy another property. But let me get back to the case study. This property I acquired with no money down. Since it was a pending foreclosure and the seller, basically had run out of money, they'd exhausted all their ability to pay their mortgage and other bills, the owner didn't have the money to move out of the house. Now, I can't leave them in the house. I've got to get them out, right? They needed someplace to store their personal property, their personal belongings. And I had to bring their existing mortgage current so that the foreclosure action could be dealt with and satisfy that, because I don't want the lender starting an action and now we actually have to buy the property with some other means. I obviously want to use what's already in place. But this is just another piece of the puzzle that we just need to figure out. So here's what I did. I agreed to give the owner $2,375 so that they could get a storage unit, get moved out of the house. I paid $2,711 directly to their bank to bring the loan current. So now the loan looked like there was no problem. The bank was happy. As far as they're concerned, their mortgagee is now current on their loan. I never, ever, ever give this money directly to the owner Even if I know the owner, if they're a personal friend, I am not giving the owner money to bring the loan current. I pay the lender directly to make sure the mortgage is current, that there's no ifs, no problems, no emergencies happen while the owner was on his way to the bank to bring the mortgage current. I make sure that happens. I've had associates give monies directly to sellers, and the money never got to where it was supposed to go. And so you give somebody $5,000 to bring a loan current, and then you get a phone call, hey, I had this emergency. I ended up having to spend your money on this. I need another $5,000 to bring the loan current. And we want to avoid that at all possibilities. And the last term that I included was the carrot that made this bad situation for the owner not so bad. I offered the seller a portion of our profits after all expenses, including the money that we provided them to relocate and were paid. So after we got done remodeling this house, getting it on the market and selling it, we were going to make a certain amount of profit, and I gave them a portion of that as the bonus to get them motivated to get out of the house quickly, to keep them involved in the transaction. Now, we don't structure all of our wraps or offers the same way. Each deal has its own, kind of unique set of facts, and we adjust to provide an owner with what is fair and sufficiently meets their needs. Now, not all investors have to do that. This isn't a requirement, but it meets our company's philosophy of building win-win transactions. We don't structure all of our, purchases with some cashback carrot. But this one made sense to us. It was going to help this family, and it was a carrot to them. And again, it helped to meet our company philosophy. So, purchasing no money is not smoke and mirrors. It's perfectly legal. You can get creative, use these same techniques to enhance or get started with real estate investing. And that's why for a limited time, I want to make sure that you can get a copy of my book, the one that I've been discussing, and get the secrets of how you can invest in real estate with no money down and get the book absolutely free. You can use the QR code that's on your screen. And if you're watching this by the video version of our podcast, or go to www.nomoneydowncoach.com. That's www.nomoneydowncoach.com to get this book absolutely free with the techniques and the secrets of how you can implement this no money down real estate investing into your real estate investing business and portfolio. You have been listening to the Whitwam Wealth Real Estate Podcast, and we have come to the end of today's episode. I want to thank you for taking time to listen. And if you found this episode, No Money Down, Your Path to Real Estate Investing with No or Low Down Payment, Part 2 helpful, be sure to subscribe, leave us a review. And if you have any questions, we'd love to hear from you. You can always find the Whitwam Wealth Real Estate Podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeart Podcast, YouTube, or wherever you enjoy listening to your podcast. This has been Scott Whitwam. Be sure to join me on our next episode of the Whitwam Wealth Real Estate Podcast, where we are wealth building through real estate.